herself. And as she takes away all the layers of artifice, she begins to remind us more and more of a character that you might enjoy reading about, especially if you like fairy tales. And this is Baba Yaga, the ultimate deadly, dangerous, terrifying Russian fairy tale witch. And it's Ivan Bilibin's image of her from about 80 years later than the story. There she is riding through the forest. She doesn't fly on a broomstick like Western witches. She flies on a haunted butter churn that she is couched on top of, flying through the forest on the way to her house, which is on chicken legs that can run away from you, into which children are lured so that they can be eaten. She's a cannibal and absolutely terrifying. So I wanted to keep her in mind and keep in mind the numbers. So on 2298, having stalked her in this disturbing way, German makes his pitch to her. I entreat you, by the feelings of a wife, a lover, a mother, by everything that is sacred in life, do not deny my request. Reveal your secret to me. What is it to you? Perhaps it's bound up with some dreadful sin, with the loss of eternal bliss, with some contract made with the devil. He loved the play Faust. As we get this image of begging, being willing to do anything, all the most terrible, deceptive, and ugly things possible, the old woman answers absolutely nothing. And this is where German will actually call her a witch. And then, Petersburg magical kind of work happening here. He pulls a pistol in order to threaten to shoot her, maybe even to shoot her. And although he never fires the shot, she dies of fright. In Petersburg, you don't actually have to discharge the bullet to kill someone. On 2300, he will say to Lizaveta, my gun was not even loaded. How could she have died? By 2301, she's dead, she's buried, and nobody cares. As the narrative tells us, it would be an affectation, an affectation, for people to pretend to miss the Countess. But he runs into someone or something in the street, and German gets a chance to find out what the lucky cards are. At the bottom of 2302, the Countess, perhaps, or a hallucination, who knows, some idea or vision or actual person or ghost comes to German in the street and says, I have come to you against my will, she said in a firm voice, but I've been ordered to fulfill your request. 3, 7, ace. So 3, 7, 1 are the numbers. You had them from the beginning. It's a kind of little game puzzle. You knew the numbers from the start. In Russian, 3, 7, 2. And those are the 3 cards that are going to be absolutely crucial. I'll give you the cards here again. So they're playing the game of cards, and it lasts an extremely long time. Back and forth for the last couple of pages of the story. So what's the denouement? What's the crisis? The climax of the story is at the top of 2305. German is using the lucky cards, 3, 7, 2, and he's winning and winning and winning. At the top of 2305, he has won 94,000 rubles, an enormous amount of money, and decides to play one more time. And decides that this is an experience that's rather like a duel. The word is actually used here. Pushkin was fascinated by duels even before his own fatal one. And we're told that German's hands are shaking. And on the right side lies a queen, and on the left, an ace. You can go back and look at that slide. The way that you play Faro, it's a game that was played in the Wild West as well. It's about turning cards over as dealer and players. And it's a matter of getting the exact right cards next to each other. And German is super pleased because he knows his trick. He knows about his 3, 7, ace. And he turns the card over and says, I won. It's an ace again. And Chekalinsky, who has been shuffling the cards, says, no, unfortunately not. It's not Tooth. Instead, it's Dame. German started, we're told. Indeed, instead of an ace, before him lay the Queen of Spades. He could not believe his eyes, could not understand how he could have slipped up. At that moment, it seemed to him that the Queen of Spades winked at him and smiled. He was struck by an unusual likeness. So I'm going to take you back just for a moment and unshare the screen so that we can finish face to face. So what was it? Is it a fairy tale? It's been made up. Is it a fairy tale? It's magic? Is it just bad luck? Are his hands just shaking? What's going on here? What I think is most chilling about the story is not the possibility that you could be in this magic space, not the chance that you would show up in a threatening fairy tale environment, but rather, and I think this is the most terrifying sentence of the story, on 2305, the last before the conclusion, Chekalinsky shuffled the cards afresh. Play went on as usual. Nobody matters. No one's life matters. Someone dies, someone loses everything, everyone just continues with the game about advancement, about money, about prestige. And the almost newspaper-like finale we get in the conclusion is equally cold and terrifying. No sympathy, no empathy for sure. We're simply told German went mad. He's now in a mental health institution, and all he keeps doing is repeating to himself, "Tri same tjus, tri same tjus." If German's fate sounds painful and difficult, Lisavieta's might be even more callous and troubling. So it didn't work out with German. She finds a rich husband. She outlives the rich husband. She adopts another young woman who's easily manipulated, financially vulnerable, and she's preparing her to be the successor. Like the game of cards, it just goes on. The circle of prestige, corruption, callousness, and privilege can't be broken. Like a number of the writers that we're going to look at, Pushkin gives us anti-heroes in difficult places, perhaps not because he doesn't care, but because he cares so much about Russian society. So with Pushkin in the background, we're going to continue with the anti-hero theme and look into Charles Baudelaire. He would have liked to be a romantic writer early in the 19th century, but he's born just a little bit too late. So I wish you health and all good things that are possible in these strange times. And I'll have another lecture for you on Thursday. Take care. Bye-bye.